Okay, hello there. My name is Romulator, and I did a run of Alone in the Dark for the New Nightmare on GameBoy Color. This run is a new world record, and this is my post-commentary of the run. And the reason why I'm doing post-commentary is basically just because I can't concentrate on doing the run, commentating, and, simultaneously juggling everything. So the first thing that I actually did just before is I'm actually playing on an emulator, so I just did a hard reset of the emulator on EmuHawk, just so that it just shows that I'm on an emulator and that I'm capable of resetting the game from the beginning. So the purposes of the speedrun, you start with whatever slot you want to, and timing begins as soon as you pick the slot that you want to choose. If your slot already has some file on it, then it'll come up with another screen, and you just press A on that screen as well. You're going to get a whole bunch of cutscene text that you just mash through, and then you're going to get Aline to talk to you when you move down a little bit away from the gate. Now, and then you will press A here to skip over some dialogue. So this is the overworld screen. Basically, the overworld screen allows Carnby to move in the 8 cardinal directions, so north, south, east, west, and everywhere in between. And he moves across a 3D overworld. And I call this the combat screen, and basically Carnby pulls out his weapons and he shoots at various enemies using either a pistol, a shotgun, or a crossbow. The latter two are required later on in the run. So for the purposes of this speedrun, I'll refer to this sort of section as the overworld, and I'll refer to the combats as the combat screen. So the first thing that you want to do in this run is you want to get inside of a mansion. To get inside of the mansion, the game requires you to go grab a key. So you go grab the key from the side of the mansion here, but the key actually does not fit in the lock for the door. So instead, we take it over to this shed, which is around the other side of the mansion, and this introduces the first sort of array of puzzles where you take a key and you have to stick it into a door, and then it just fits into a slightly larger part of the puzzle. You take the crossbow. When you approach this door, you have to mash through some text, and this is where I tend to split, because it actually indicates that you're inside of the mansion now. Another just quick note as well, some of the pathways that I take, they are intentional. If you're familiar with this game, there may be some ways that might seem a bit quicker, but I found these to be the most sort of efficient. So what you just saw there is I interacted with a mirror, and Charles Fisk, someone that you were sent here to look into the death of, his ghost is in the mirror. So we picked up a gold key before. As soon as we walked into the mansion, we went up some stairs and we take the gold key. Then we use that gold key to open up this door, and then we head over here. There's a dialogue box back there of some blood being on the floor, so Carnby has to mash through that. And you pick up a shotgun that was inside of the cabinet there, and you also pick up a letter that was in Alan Morton's journal, who's the person who lives here, and ultimately the boss of this game that you won't see for a very long time. I accidentally missed this piece of paper here, but basically you pick it up, and then you read the first 2 sheets of paper, which are Alan Morton's journal, page 1 and page 3. Page 1 talks about shotgun shell, well, a shotgun firing mechanism, and that's hidden in the attic, which we need to know about later. And this one was about finding the secret switch that was there on the wall that I just pressed before. So now we get into our second mandatory fight, and in this one it's pretty straightforward. You actually just head over to the left, shoot a couple of enemies, and you pick up the ammo that's lying around. I also, please excuse my lag frames that came up. I don't know why they actually came up. My computer doesn't usually do this to me. Anyway, you walk inside, you pick up a blue key, then you leave, and you basically just backtrack where you came from. And there's another door that you have to use the blue key on. So, so there isn't really sort of much going on here. So basically what I'll explain about this run is you basically just sort of need to know your way around. Once you sort of figure that out, it's actually a pretty easy run. It's the game takes less than 20 minutes to complete on a pretty good speed run, and there's little to no RNG involved, and so it just works out quite nicely in your favor if you just want to go through a walking simulator and fight a few enemies along the way. The little randomness pretty much comes from what direction the enemies will go and where a particular enemy at the end will spawn from. So up here we walk all the way to the end of the corridor to pick up a large brass key in this room, and then we head back out here and we pick up the amulet that is around this sort of statue thingy. This is Fisk's amulet, and it's an amulet that your friend Charles Fisk asks you to find. I also pick up this ammo here. It's basically some safety ammo, because your ammo count is extremely tight in this run. I equip the brass key now because I pick up equip Fisk's amulet first because we actually want to go get to Charles Fisk. But I equip it now because I believe that when you equip it before you hit the light switch, it actually resets your counter back to the walkie-talkie. It seems to only do this on occasion, and there's one other place it seems to do it as well, but I'll come to that later on in the run. So we give the amulet, we show the amulet to Fisk in the mirror by pressing A, and then he'll tell us that we need to go pursue Morton, and to do so we need to find a better weapon. This allows us to look for the shotgun cartridges in the attic. Or rather, the shotgun firing mechanism in the attic. The game is also pretty simple. You basically never use the start button throughout the whole game. You have your directional buttons. You have your, your up, down, left, and right. You have your select, which shows your inventory. And you have your A button, which is your interact, which is your use item and shoot button. And you have the B button, which is your interact button. The L and R buttons did not exist on a Game Boy, so they're not used in this in this game. So this is another weird combat screen. I actually don't really have a very optimal way of clearing this screen, but basically I just take a couple of hits because those particular spiders aren't very powerful. When you go back here, Fisk will interrupt you, and so we keep moving. But his conversation with you will allow you to get these doorknobs, or a doorknob from there. Which is interesting because if you actually don't talk to Fisk, when you finally and you don't take the shotgun, Fisk will actually interrupt you back down in the shotgun room after you find the firing mechanism, to which wastes time because the doorknobs are only in the attic. So this is why I get the shotgun beforehand. So we have to take the doorknob to a door downstairs, which actually does not have a doorknob attached to it. Unfortunately, along the way there is a forced encounter, which I will actually talk about now because I have a bit of time. But this encounter is actually really simple. You actually just stand behind a wall and shoot through it. So I'm going to talk about forced encounters and mandatory encounters, as well as timed encounters. So there is a timed encounter on that, we'll call it a screen, on this screen here. The thing about timed encounters is the game, when you enter a new screen, starts a counter from 0 to 60. Once it gets to 60, the game will force you into an encounter. The beauty of this means that if you're clever enough to sort of know the counter, you're able to sort of manipulate it, because flashing your inventory or exiting the map or pressing the start button will reset the entire counter, because it counts from the moment this screen transition finishes. So forced encounters are when you hit a trigger area. Also just quickly, if you touch any of those pipe thingies, you die. A forced encounter is an encounter which the forced encounter is an encounter which you have to go through, and an example of that, for example, could be Fisk here, because Fisk actually pops up on a... Well, Fisk here is actually a timed encounter, so you can delay it. But, yeah, I'll give an example of a forced encounter versus a timed encounter in a moment. For example, actually, right here, this is a timed encounter. I flash my inventory so that I don't have to worry about it, and I actually don't go for the flask either. I keep making a move forward, and here I actually do another timed encounter, because here you actually have a boss fight with Morton, but I actually don't want to fight that because it's slow. So I make use of two inventory flashes to avoid the count to 60. You can actually get through there with just one inventory flash, but it's actually quite tough. I also equip the gardening gloves because I need them to scale this vine, and then I go south and I keep moving. Up here is an example of a forced encounter, because try as you may, you actually cannot get past this trigger area where you'll initiate the combat scene. So this fight, I've actually managed to come up with an optimal way of finishing it. Unfortunately, I just didn't manage to kill a spider so that I could finish it off really quickly. But because of that, I decided to just pick up some more ammo. So not really a big issue here. So we'll keep moving, and we go down some stairs, and then we just keep moving from there. And there's not really much to talk about here, but basically what's coming up is you'll actually come across the crossbow. Jeez, this lag is really annoying. You come across the crossbow, and we want to pick that up. However, because of a bug, we actually want to miss it, and then immediately come back for it. So this encounter is actually pretty easy. We just move down, and then we start moving right once we take out the first batch of enemies, and you may want to use the shotgun if you want to preserve some revolver ammo. Actually, that's something to quickly talk about. Oh, wait, hold on. So you pick up the skeleton key here. This key is actually sort of out of your way, so you may miss it, but you just have to remember that it's there. So I'll just quickly talk about the ammo and everything. So pistol ammo, when you pick up any ammo in the overworld, you get more than what you get inside of a battle. However, you almost always want to pick up pistol ammo because pistol ammo is really quick to fire. Just quickly, this is the example. Because we pick up the crossbow, when we pick up the crossbow, it resets to the walkie-talkie, as you might have seen in the top left corner. That's why we pick up that's why we open the door first, and then I pick up the crossbow. So unfortunately the lag is making it a bit difficult here, but you just sort of move through this area and everything. Not too much of an issue. Anywho, the shotgun ammo fires slightly more powerful bullets than the revolver, and you have to just there's a bit of delay in between shots. The crossbow is extremely powerful, takes down spiders in one hit, but we want to conserve at least 10 bullets for the final fight. In this area, we have to turn off a generator with the gardening gloves, and we have to use a time bomb, which we found in that cupboard before, to blow up that little mechanism. And this powers down a door with an electric barrier surrounding it, which is this door right here. We cross a chasm, and we get a forced encounter around here. To which you just move down, and then you just move left. I accidentally moved down a little too far, but so I just decided to pick up a few more pieces of ammo because I wasn't gonna sort of worry too much about it there. I also managed to pick up that piece of ammo, which is also quite nice. This area can be a little bit difficult to sort of remember your head around because you often end up going in one direction then going in the exact opposite. So here we equip the crowbar and tilt a rock, and then we have a forced encounter here. This encounter is pretty easy. I found that the best way to deal with it is take out the two monsters above with your pistol and then just fire at the last one with your shotgun. So then we move down this corridor, and then we go north again, and then we just have a fair bit of navigating. There isn't really much to sort of worry about here. I accidentally forget which way I'm supposed to go, so I miss a bit of time there, but that's okay. So for these next two screens, you just want to move down straight away, and then on this next one, you move straight to the left, and you press A on the pillar. By moving up 1 pixel, as soon as you walk in, you actually force Carnby to start speaking, which wastes time. So now we get this combat screen, and this one's a little strange because it causes the game to lag considerably with actual lag frames. So this isn't preventable. There isn't really a good way to do that one, but basically if you equip the crossbow just to deal with the larger enemies, and then get rid of them, and then switch back to the pistol or the shotgun, and then take them out and go from there. Remember to pick up that dynamite there because you're going to need it. This pathway is a maze. If you take the wrong pathway, then unfortunately you stuff up and you have to start over. So you just basically keep moving left is actually the way to remember it. and then you just follow the path that the diamond tells you to follow. It's down 2 screens and then it's up 3 screens from here. You also have to just deviate a little to get around the corner and not bump into anything, but that's not really a problem for us speedrunners because we're capable of remembering that. This fight is actually pretty straightforward. You just move down to the bottom left a little and you deal with these few monsters. There's 4 of them actually. I used to remember them only being 3, but you see there, as you might have noticed, that I actually ran out of pistol ammo. This is okay because I actually pick up some more here. But unfortunately I was silly and forgot and didn't pick up the first one that I wanted to pick up, which is just to my left. So that was silly of me. So I actually had to think on my toes here and go for these ones over here. I wanted to have a little bit more pistol ammo, so I decided to pick up that one there. Optionally, you can go for the crossbow ammo, but there is no sort of revolver ammo around it. Once you get to this one, this is the harder encounter of the game. Definitely not the hardest, but it is the harder one considering how low your ammo is. Best way to deal with it is to just lure the enemies to you and then just sort of get in the middle if you have to and just fire away. If you have to switch to the crossbow, you can. I didn't in this fight, but you know, sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. Really, in the end though, you just have to have at least 10 crossbow bullets to kill the final boss, provided you don't miss. So having about 15 is probably the best way to do it. You place the dynamite at the foot of this statue and equip the lighter, and this is the only instance in the entire game that you use the lighter, surprisingly, an item that you've had all the way from the beginning. Take a step away so that it the totem pole blows up. And if you don't, then you die, which is actually quite interesting. I never knew that. Then you just approach over here and you pick up this statue. And this is a statue that you've actually had to come to this island for on behalf of Aline, who we might remember from the beginning of the game. You get teleported back to the mansion by interacting with it, and you use a skeleton key on the back of this door to initiate a battle back here. Here in this one, you basically only want to use your pistol and your shotgun, or if you've got plenty of ammo for your crossbow, you do it. Over here, we utilize another inventory flash so that we can skip a dialogue by Fisk, and then we keep moving from here. And then it's basically just backtracking back to the airplane that you started off at. But along the way, we're actually going to encounter Alan Morton's boss battle, which actually can be skipped, but unfortunately it loses time if we try to skip it, because we end up going through another fight, which unfortunately I can't get around. So basically this fight is pretty easy. You basically just wander around, have the crossbow at the ready, and you want him to teleport away from you. And unfortunately this is sort of RNG related, but you just want him to teleport away from you, and then you just want to turn around and shoot at him. And you can see there I actually missed him a few times with my crossbow, but then luckily for me he spawned away from me, so I was able to just do it. If he spawns too close to you, unfortunately he just has invincibility frames, but if he spawns away from you, you just have to take a few steps away from him, turn around and shoot. Depending on how quick you are, you might be able to get off all the bullets. You have a quick mandatory dialogue screen with Aline here, and then you walk up to the gates, and as soon as you collide with those gates, you're done, as far as I'm concerned. And I accidentally split there a little bit late for the run over, but otherwise that is actually Alone in the Dark 4, The New Nightmare. It's really just the ending cutscene stuff now, and yeah, this run was actually pretty good, actually. I had a few mishaps with direction and what items to equip, maybe about 2 or 3 times, but otherwise this run was actually pretty much spot on in terms of overworld movement and combat screens. Can 1745 be beaten? For sure. Will I do it? Probably not. But yeah, nonetheless, I hope that you enjoyed the run, and I hope that it sort of influenced you to make a start on it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to assist. And these are the credits for the game. I'm not going... Oh, well, I won't talk through the credits of the game, but I'll just leave them here if you just want to have a look at them. So yeah, I may even write like a Google Doc or something just to sort of explain things, because while the game is pretty simple once you sort of know the mechanics and everything, but yeah, just watch this space, I suppose.